opening the show tonight, captive audience, with what is most likely to get us kicked off of social media. People are dying suddenly, and it might be because of the vaccine. I mean, it's no laughing matter, but I can't believe it, Sonny. I mean, people are dropping. Well, they're high profile people are dropping left and right, which means people who are not high profile are dropping left and right. And Karen and I were discussing this. She has a she has a kind of a natural healing practice, I guess, if you will, herbal and a whole bunch of different modalities. But she's developed a couple of protocols to help people who got the vaccine, who believed that the vaccine was going to keep them from getting COVID, was going to keep them from spreading COVID, who believed because they were told by every government official, both state and federal, that it was safe and there were no side effects. And she's developed a couple protocols to help people with that. Because now people who got I don't know, because I mean, full disclosure, I did not get the vaccine, neither did Karen. But people who did, I know people who did, and they're kind of scared.
I know people who did as well. That you're absolutely right. They are scared, and they've gotten one. Maybe and I know some that have gotten one aren't getting any more. I know some that have gotten two. People are waking up, and in fact, part of the wake up, yes, is people dropping like flies, seems to be anyway. I mean, we're getting the ones that are high profile we're hearing about, but now we're getting truth out. Truth is coming out. So there's a story here from PJ Media that Facebook admits suppressing often true content on COVID-19 vaccines. And so a Facebook executive told the White House that the social media platform not only suppressed misinformation, but also took action against the virality and often true content on the COVID-19 vaccines. And this came about because this information was in an email obtained through the Missouri court case, Missouri v. Biden, which alleges top Biden administration officials colluded with big tech social media companies to violate Americans' right to free speech under the First Amendment. So it's the court cases that we hear little of that has brought information out. And so along with seeing on, like Don and I talked about it, during the Monday Night Football, here you have a fella, die on the field and revived, and now he's been released from the hospital to recover, which is awesome. But there are definitely a lot of people being affected by this. So then we also have now coming out today, this is in Just the News, Pfizer COVID vaccine under the harsh glare from the FDA. Foreign research is on the serious side effects. So lawyers in a FOIA case suggest the CDC steered early vaccine recipients to surveys where it could control reported side effects better. And
man, that's it's criminal. It's criminal, Sonny. It's criminal to hide that kind of information from people who believe they are engaging in a relatively safe medical procedure, which getting a vaccine is. And it's criminal that Facebook would knowingly silence true information. I mean, when this thing first hit, right? I mean, that's how this show got started. Is the lockdowns and all of that.
That's right.
And when this thing first hit, everybody was looking for information. How bad is this, and what have you, and how can I protect myself, and all of that. And there seems to be a collusion between big tech, social media, the media, and the government to hide all of that. And that is really, I think it's criminal. I mean, I think it should be prosecuted. Not to mention the fact that the vendors of these vaccines that apparently did very little of what they were supposed to do, were admittedly only experimentally approved. I think they should be liable as well. And I know they've shielded themselves from liability, but what do you say if you're Pfizer, or if you're Facebook, or if you're the previous Twitter, or CBS or CNN, what do you say to somebody whose wife or husband or daughter or son or neighbor just perfectly healthy, keels over dead, and they were vaccinated? What do you say to them? Oops, sorry, I don't get it.
No, I think we bring about Nuremberg trials.
I think you're right.
That's truthfully, because it states that there should never be anybody forced to have a vaccine without informed consent. And when you are censoring the information, you are not allowing informed consent.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So I just posted a plethora of articles right there that we're talking about this, so people have the information that they can go to, and there's more. The CDC has identified potential side effects in the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. This is an article from Just the News today. They always put articles out that are very serious on a Friday to be buried through the weekend. And so, I just posted them here, and it's important to look at this, because there are side effects. Everything has side effects, quite frankly, but to not have the truth be out there and to have the public misled.
And people are still
absolutely misled.
Yeah, well, it's criminal, and it's criminal for, organizations like the NFL, like the NBA, like the federal government, like the hospitals, to force people to get vaccines as a condition of employment, which is exactly what happened. Because you're forcing someone to take an experimental, vaccine that apparently, as we're coming to find out, was not as safe or as effective, certainly not as effective. And it appears to be not as safe as everyone had mentioned that it was. So if you took this, you took the government, you took the county, you took the state, you took Governor Brown, or former Governor Brown, I should say, thankfully, at their word, and thought, okay, well, yeah, I'll do this. So, so I don't get sick, and I don't pass it along. And now you're seeing people dropping like flies, presumably because of that. Here's the problem. If you're one of those people, you still don't know, because they're still censoring the information. No one is putting together this uptick in, they've named it sudden adult death. This uptick in people just dropping dead. No one has put that together with having the vaccine. And the reason for that is they don't have anything to sell you to fix it. They've
been suppressing the information. They don't want that correlation.
No, they don't want that correlation, because they still want to sell it, and they don't have anything to sell you to fix it. And there are ways for people to mitigate the potential hazards for it. And that's what Karen is doing on her Your Community Herbalist page. So.
And that's on Telegram, that page, isn't that right? I know I'm on that, actually.
Yeah, there's a Telegram group as well. Yeah, she's been studying this for a long time, because there has to be a way to mitigate the damages of basically ingesting something that was really not good for you. And as it turns out, there are. Will make it completely go away? It's hard to say, but what are you going to do? What would I do? I would be scared. I'd be scared. I'd be scared to death. I'd be afraid to drive, because I'm just going to drop dead of, a heart attack or whatever people are dying from. And you still can, I'm not even sure you can say that still on, the platforms that we're currently streaming to. I'm not sure you can draw that correlation, but there was it was reported.
It's cause for alarm.
It's huge cause for alarm. It was reported that life insurance writers, and I said this months and months and months ago.
Yes,
I
you
said,
did.
if you want to know the truth, ask the life insurance companies. They will tell you because that's their business. They have raised rates. I'm not sure how substantially, but they have raised rates for 18 to 49-year-olds. Now they don't do that unless they have to do that. And they believe that they have more exposure for 18 to 49-year-olds than they did previously. And that's what they believe, and that's what they have done.
Yes, so along these lines, though, now there's been many court cases like this one, the appeals court rules against vaccine mandates in Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Now, this is the Sixth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals in Cincinnati. So yesterday, they affirmed a lower court's ruling that the vaccine mandate for federal contract workers is unconstitutional. Hooray!
Good.
But this has done nothing. The courts have largely upheld the vaccine mandate for healthcare workers. Why? All other Americans, including OSHA vaccine or test mandate, all the courts so far have ruled the Biden administration overstepped its authority. But yet, for healthcare workers, they're keeping that mandate intact, and that is wrong. Especially given what is coming out now and what we know now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's there's a lot of criminal activity that's been going on since day one of this pandemic, and I remember the early part of the pandemic. You couldn't talk about it unless you couldn't hardly say anything about it. And it's still to some extent it's still the same, but it is starting to change, like you said just recently here, just earlier in the broadcast, that people are starting to find out the truth. You can't hide people who are dying for apparently no good reason. You can't hide that forever. I was talking with Karen, and I guess the vaccination rate in America is about 70%.
Wow.
That is freaking scary.
Wow.
I'm not saying that everybody who got a vaccination is going to die or anything like that. But, I think we are close to having that in the mainstream conversation. And I personally, I think heads should roll for that.
David, I agree with you. And in the past week, I was talking to somebody a perfect total stranger, and we were talking about this, of people suddenly passing away. He said he has lost, I don't remember now, sorry, if it was 14 or 17 family members in the past 18 months. I went, what?
Wow.
14 to 17. And he was not vaccinated. And he did say that the others had been. And this is like, he says, I've just been going from one service to another, and it's devastating.
It is.
To hear that firsthand from somebody who was a perfect stranger to me, and we're just having this conversation.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, I think probably in your circle and my circle, very few people that I know got the vaccine. And so I don't know anybody personally who died after getting the vaccine. Of course, our good friend died from the COVID itself, but she was unvaccinated as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that COVID was killing people, although I'm not so sure that the hospitals weren't accelerating that as well with the way they were treated. I know that when I went in the hospital, I could see the handwriting on the wall. And I said, when I finally was able to see a doctor, because when you're in the hospital for COVID, they just leave you there. Nobody comes in, nobody, they hardly ever check on you.
Wow.
But I could see the handwriting on the wall. And I said, hey, you know what? I need to get out of here. You don't want me here, right? Right? You don't want me here. No, you don't want me here, right?
Yeah.
And the doctor agreed. And I said, well, let's make a plan. That whiteboard up there where it says this is our plan. Let's write on that and get me the hell out of here. And they did. And I was fine. I was nowhere close to dying. But obviously, it did kill a number of people. I know one of my classmates from high school died from COVID. But the way that this vaccine was pushed upon us, and obviously very successful, if 70% of the population in the United States is in fact vaccinated. I'm not sure where that number comes. Probably comes from the government. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I mean, because you really can't believe anything comes from the government. But
No,
it's I think we have a crisis of potentially monumental size on our hands, biblical almost.
well, we do. And I posted a little earlier up in the chat a story that it's going to get worse, David, because like you said, there's nothing that they can't make money to undo this, so they haven't correlated everything together. But now this story from PJ Media that came out yesterday, it says, red alert, pharma plots to inject livestock with mRNA vaccines, likely to end up in food supply. What for? What for? So it says the pharmaceutical industry has been quietly at work for years now, concocting excuses and methods to inject livestock whose flesh will eventually end up in human digestive tracts with mRNA therapies marketed as vaccines. So, bovine respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, is a significant viral pathogen of young cows that's key component in respiratory complex. So here we go. So the research project underway at Iowa State University titled Novel mRNA Vaccine Technology for Prevention of Bovine RSV is developing mRNA vaccines for domesticated cows. And in Australia, the vax-happy government has fast-tracked mRNA vaccine development for cattle in partnership with a U.S. biotech firm. I got to tell you straight up, let's see. If we cause problems with the cattle that is in the food supply, the beef in the food supply, that my God, it might become unhealthy to eat. Does that help Bill Gates with his non-meat that he's concocting?
Yeah,
That's a big stretch, but that's where my mind just went.
His cricket burgers.
I don't know. I don't know what's in them if it's cricket burgers, but
cricket burgers and locust dogs.
So I like to know where my meat comes from, and I just picked up a half a beef from a relative, and I'm very happy to know what it ate and what shots it got, if any. And it's and more people are doing that. On Facebook, there's groups about where to get meat from locally sourced, homegrown, if you will. More are growing their own. But, if you go find a rancher or somebody who's raising chickens and whatnot, you can buy it at the source and say, hey, this is kind of what I would like. Not a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to ask the person we get our next beef from to make sure that none of that crap went in there. I mean, I'm not sure if it's a problem that they can't fix or if this is a solution in search of a problem. I haven't heard anything about any unstoppable respiratory virus among young cattle that needs this solution. But I also understand that it's driven by money, and if they can make money, they're going to make money. Karen just told me that the big pharma companies are coming out with an mRNA that fixes the heart damage that COVID vax has done.
Oh, and do you trust that? I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Now, Lori
No.
says elk and venison. Lori, wait a minute. This article that I just said, you're okay. I'm going to go a little further into this. Pharma biotech research is also hard at work on wildlife mRNA vaccines. You can't make this.
I heard, I heard
stuff.
something. I heard something about vaccines for bees as well.
I did too. It's not in this particular article,
No.
but it also is talking about after finding similar species, apparently the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, so they're looking at doing black-footed ferrets. They have been 2/3 of captive bred black-footed ferrets have been vaccinated for the novel coronavirus, and not a single one of them is known to have so far have contracted the disease. Well, maybe they never would have in the first place. That I don't know. But this
Half of them are
article
dead.
goes on to say, are they trying to go and vaccinate all of the animals? I mean, because here we have the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services looking at the Black-footed Ferret Conservation Center, and are we going to go down the road of vaccinating all the wildlife? I don't know.
Man, I don't know. I'm sure if if a pharmaceutical company believes they can make money for it, they're certainly going to press for it and push for it. They're going to spend millions lobbying Congress to say, "Hey, we need to spend tax money on doing this." But good luck getting a needle into a bull elk.
Well, they dart them. They can dart them from a helicopter.
Oh.
So no, they can do it, David. I'm not giving them ideas. They can tranquilize them. They can do that.
Now we gotta grow our own deer and elk.
I'll tell you what. Go get some bison meat. So to change to a whole nother topic. We've got new Twitter file dumps, and part 14 of the Twitter files. This is an article out of Just the News. This new Twitter file dump shows Democratic lawmakers knowingly pushed fake Russia narrative about about Nunes report.
No.
So the Twitter files are devastating to Dems' Russia collusion narrative as they show liberal lawmakers pushing false info about the Nunes memo. And, we just can't. The conspiracies are coming to fruition, right? What they said, oh no, it is coming to fruition.
Yeah. Well, here's my shocked face that Democrats knowingly made something up and lied about it.
You mean it's not?
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. I'll tell you what. I tweeted, I don't know, a week or so ago. I just, taking in all of the media and stuff that's going on, and I just tweeted that I don't really have the inclination to run down and verify all of this stuff anymore. So I'm just going to blanketly not believe anything that I see or hear or read. I'm not even going to believe my lying eyes anymore.
Oh, geez. So apparently, journalist Matt Taibbi on yesterday, released part 14 of the Twitter files, and it showed how congressional Democrats tried to discredit a report by then California Representative Devin Nunes regarding the federal government's Trump-Russia investigation. So it's another lie. And, I'll tell you, Elon Musk is doing such a service to freedom of speech and bringing the truth out and helping to open up people's eyes. and hopefully open their minds to go, wow, and it's devastating for people that have think that our government is truly working for the best interest of all of us. It's really devastating, I think, to have their eyes opened to more truths coming out. And
it is devastating. It is
yeah,
devastating. I know I've spent most of the last 10 years unlearning everything that I thought was true about how the world worked. And it's disheartening to know that you had been, that you were such a non-discerning consumer of information that you believed a lot of the stuff, which I did. That I was fed. I watched the news every day, and I thought it was most of it was. I thought most of it was true. But hell, I haven't watched the news in 10 years now.
And so I think because of that, I think we need to have compassion with people as they freak out and come to the realization and wake up. But we need to help more people wake up, but have compassion, because I feel for those that that have been asleep, and I've been awake for quite a while, and there's always more to learn, and it is devastating. You just go, oh my gosh, it's really worse than I thought. And
it really is devastating. It makes your heart sink.
Yeah.
When you realize that stuff that you thought was true and dependable is not.
Yeah. And as Bobby says, it is scary the way the world is going. And yes, it is. But by waking up, speaking about it, and having compassion for others is how we can hopefully turn things around. Let's talk truth, and to turn things around. Now, turning things around. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now here's one. I got this other one here. This is something I just really couldn't believe when I read this. And this is from Just the News. So our Department of Homeland Security, DHS, says it's going to aid our non-citizen workers. Frankly, I didn't think non-citizens that have gotten here illegally, that don't have a green card, aren't supposed to work. But I will go back to this article. They are going to aid non-citizen workers in avoiding deportation if they report labor violations. You can't make this shit up.
Wow. Yeah. Well, apparently the government can, because they're going to do that. Yeah, that's it's unbelievable. I mean, well, it just goes to show you that the government doesn't like you. It doesn't trust you, and it doesn't want you. It doesn't want you to succeed. It doesn't want you to be prosperous, and it's willing to do anything it can to impede your progress in the world. And weaponizing illegal aliens who aren't supposed to be working anyhow because they got fake papers and handed them some employer, and the employer's trying to comply because they know they'll get in trouble if they don't. Weaponizing them to probably manufacture labor violations is just out of the pale, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, yes, it is. But I want to bring this attention to our audience, because you're not going to hear about that on the mainstream media. And, Just the News is a good source of information. And John Solomon, I think, does a good job bringing things that we might not otherwise be aware of out to the public, for public viewing, right? And consumption. So it's because this, quite frankly, is, I feel for those that have left their country, but this is not coming illegally into ours after passing through many is not the correct way to do it. Right. I welcome and embrace people coming into our country, but they have to come lawfully. They have to come legally.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And this current administration, by all accounts, and did you read today interesting thing that Michael Yon had to say about some immigrants, if you will, down in Panama who are trying to make their way to Oregon, United States. He said that in their countries, the various countries from which they come, that CNN is telling people that Joe Biden wants them to come to America illegally. And I thought about that, and I thought, is there a way with the power of the internet that I can get CNN broadcast in like Venezuela or Haiti or wherever these people are coming from? Yeah.
Sure. Go to Telemundo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go to, of course, you can. This is the power. This is the power of the internet. You can go to, when we lived on our sailboat, I looked at news all over the world and in different languages, and it would translate into English. So you can do that.
Yeah, I need to check that out because
and I'll tell you,
it wouldn't surprise me, and I have no reason to disbelieve what those, migrants or whatever were telling Michael Yon. I don't know why they would lie, but I mean, it appeared. I mean, all of these people that are coming and invading our southern border are just not suddenly doing it for no reason, right? I mean, there has to be some sort of impetus. People are going. People telling them that, hey, it's okay. It's okay. You'll be escorted across the border by Border Patrol, and then they'll put you on a plane or a bus and send you to various parts of the country where you'll live the good life.
Well, you remember, Kamala Harris said, "Do not come. Do not come." Remember that? 3 times she said, "Do not come." But
Right.
then all of these, the 2.5 million that came, they've got cell phones. And they've called their family and their friends, and they're going, "Oh yeah, buddy, get on up here. It's wide open."
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and
CNN,
we've heard.
I wouldn't doubt Michael Yon's word. I would not.
No, I wouldn't doubt his word. And I was saying I wouldn't. I have no reason to disbelieve that the migrants who told him that would be, saying something that wasn't true or they weren't told.
There's.
But we've been getting firsthand accounts from the border from Jan and others, and as near as we can tell, the borders are wide open. They're not. There doesn't seem to be any impetus. And like you said, when somebody gets across, they call their cell phone and call everybody and say, "Hey, yeah, that's a piece of cake. Just walk right on over." The Texas National Guard will escort you to a processing center.
Exactly. I mean, it's so, to have our officials, those that have been appointed by Biden, saying, "Oh no, the border's actually closed and it's secure." Well, no, it is not. When you look at it's not at all, because they wouldn't be shipping them off to Martha's Vineyard. They wouldn't be putting them on buses and airplanes to other parts of our country, because, and then they're screaming, "Oh no, wait a minute, you can't do that. We don't want them. No, we're saturated already." Yeah. So, hey, I've got another story here. Moving into Oregon. How about that? The lawmakers, this is from Oregon Catalyst, and the wonderful lawmakers are rolling out a 31% income tax increase. Now, so last November, the state economist warned lawmakers in a hearing that Oregon was heading into a recession, which could bring huge budget losses. But Oregon State Representative Con Pham has introduced House Bill 2673, which would soak taxpayers and potentially bring in billions more in new government tax revenue in order to keep state government funding at its current 12-year of record of nonstop breaking revenue. So in just 10 years, our government has doubled in size in 10 years in Oregon.
Yeah. Well, if it's not PERS, which constantly is running at a deficit, then M110, which guarantees universal health insurance for all, paid for by people who work, and given to those who don't. I don't think there's any better way for Oregon lawmakers, and I'm going to say that it's Oregon Democrat lawmakers, to tell me, to tell you, to tell everyone watching that we don't want you to live here. Because that's exactly what I hear. We don't want you to live here. We want you to leave. 31%. If you're in the top bracket, you're already paying 9.9.
Right. And so now those rates are going up. And so for those making $125,000, their taxes would increase 31% from 9.9 to 11%. For those making $500,000, their taxes would increase 11% from 9.9 to 13%. And right now, Oregon has the fourth highest tax rate in America at 9.9%. California is at 13.3%. Hawaii is 11%. New Jersey's 10.7%, and Oregon is 9.9%. So we're going up to 11 and 13%. And these taxes don't include local income taxes like Portland and metro area taxes. But, as I read this, thinking about talking about it tonight, I went, let's see, wait a minute. The Democrats do not have the supermajority. So that means they have to have Republicans in order to pass this House bill. Do you think they'll get it, David? Do you think the Republicans will help them pass this tax increase?
You want my honest answer?
Well, of course, David.
Yes.
Well, you and I think
in exchange for something else.
You bet.
They will. They'll pick off the 1 or 2 votes that they need in the Senate, and the House might be harder. Because they have to pick off more votes in the House. Maybe I haven't even really done the numbers. I don't know what the new makeup is, but unfortunately, yes, I think so. And I think there are some Republicans in some districts, Senate and House districts, who Senate and House districts are either close to even or even have a Democrat majority. We know that Senator Tim Knopp is in a D+8 or D+9, something like that district. And I think they believe that in order to get reelected, and I understand that, because if you're not reelected, if you don't have a seat at the table, then a Democrat's probably going to have a seat at the table. But in order to get reelected, they're going to have to vote for some of this stuff. So it's a quandary. I know that, people on our side, pound their fist on the table and tell the Republicans to all vote no on taxes and stuff. But, there is the strategy of being able to make sure you get reelected. If you get a lot of pressure in a D+4 or D+6 or D+8 district, from which you happen to be the unicorn Republican representative, you have to listen to your district. The number one rule is you have to know your district, and what it comes back down to, and I think we've discussed it on here, and maybe I've discussed it with other people, but what it comes down to is when a Republican is elected, are they loyal to the Republican Party and other Republicans, or are they loyal to the people in their district that actually elected them? And I think each and every representative, whether they be in the House or the Senate, needs, a decision for themselves. And the truth of the matter is that, the Oregon Republican Party is not a is not a heavy hitter in electoral politics in Oregon. Because of our campaign finance laws, they don't get a lot of money, and so they're not able to put a lot of money. They're not able to drive, the bus for elections, and so, I'm pretty sure that most representatives and senators are going to say, yeah, I have to listen to my district, and if they hear from their district that, yeah, we need to tax those rich people who are making over $125,000, which isn't squat anymore.
No,
I
it
mean,
isn't.
hell, $100,000 is, used to be 60, and 60 used to be, 40, and it used to be all the money in the world. Just so, they have to do what they have to do. Do I think they'll find a way to pass it? I think with Kotek sitting in the governor's office and by proxy running the legislature, which she has done for nearly a decade, yeah, I think she'll find a way to get it done. And guess what? Republicans can't walk out anymore.
No.
Because of Measure 113 or whatever that was, 12.
Yeah, no, they can't walk out anymore. And so they cannot pass taxes without both sides.
Right.
They can't. So that's why I thought, well, let's see what's going to happen. Don't you think they have enough? They've doubled the size of the government.
Yeah, they had enough 10 years ago.
Okay. Well, I would say they really have enough, right? and yet Tina Kotek has declared a national homeless emergency. So how much money does she want for that? And don't forget, with the National Health Care 110, they have to fund that. So that's how they're going to justify, we have to do, and the voters voted for Measure 110, a statewide single payer healthcare system. Now we have to fund it. Here we go.
Yeah. Yep. That's
I
another
see
one.
that writing on the wall.
Well, it's going to compete with and probably eventually surpass the unfunded liability of PERS. Because it's going to cost an amount of money that cannot even be fathomable, and it will turn Oregon's healthcare system into absolute crap. It will become. We are the petri dish for this in the United States of America, the only state to have what will become universal single payer, because that's the only way you can do it. And we will be third world in healthcare. People will have to drive to other states to get healthcare.
And then I wonder if you'll be allowed to. For example, I live next to the Washington border, and my doctor is in Washington. Now, I have private healthcare now. Right.
And how's that going to work?
How is that going to work? Or those that live in Southern Oregon that might be, your doctor might be in California. Or those that live in Eastern Oregon, your doctor might be in Idaho.
Yeah.
Because these things happen, right? I'm only 10 miles from Washington, Walla Walla. And so
I'm 8 miles from California.
There you go. And so how is that going to work? But the thing is, anytime you remove competition, nobody wins.
Yeah.
Nobody wins at all.
No, nobody wins when you move competition. Nobody wins when government takes over what was once done by the private sector. And our healthcare system, a decade ago was pretty damn good. The ACA or Obamacare gutted it and turned it into just an arm of the federal government. And the whole thing, the whole feel, the whole vibe within hospitals and everything else is just different. It's just very government. And this is going to make it even worse. I pay $24,000 a year for health insurance, and now I'm going to pay probably about $36,000 a year, my health insurance and somebody else's.
Right, exactly. So, hey, Lori, I saw your question there of who replaced Dallas Hurd, Senator Dallas Hurd. So I just posted the story. and it is Representative David Brock Smith has chosen as the new senator. So now they're going to have to go back, those PCPs in the district that he's in, and choose a new House representative to fill his seat. So he's been chosen unanimously by the Douglas, Coos, and Curry County commissioners. So he has been voted in to fill the seat.
Yeah.
So that answers that question. And Patty, I saw your comment of "we are effed," and you're exactly right.
We are. I might have to accelerate my
exit plan.
Yeah, my exit plan. Yeah.
I'll tell you. Let me
tell
you. So,
when you go over your taxes and you look at them and you go, man, that's a lot of freaking money. You go, maybe we should move. I don't know.
Florida has no income tax and Tennessee has only 4%.
Wyoming has none. Nevada has none. Texas has none. Alaska has none.
I didn't know Wyoming didn't.
No.
Cold there. Ugh.
Wyoming is the most business-friendly state in the union. Yeah. Hard to believe, huh? Yeah. They have surpassed Rhode Island for that. So a lot of companies are incorporating in Wyoming or forming their business entities in Wyoming. So Wyoming is my first choice. I like Alaska, but I need better weather.
Yeah, that's I've got friends that live in Alaska and oh my word, to see him, I follow him on Facebook and he goes, "Well, we're gonna go out and go plow today. It's only minus 35."
Yeah.
Road, because they've got to plow like about a mile or 3/4 of a mile to a mile to get out to a main road and keep that clear in case they had an emergency. And it's like, oh, no thanks. No thanks. They're living rural. So
I couldn't do that. I need sunshine. I can do cold, but I need sunshine. Probably my perfect destination would be Central Oregon, except for the fact that it's in Oregon. So I think Wyoming for me is probably the best, the next best place for that. Western Wyoming.
Okay, well, you heard it here. Maybe Wyoming for David.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely not going to be Idaho. I guarantee you Idaho. And I've said it time and time again. And I've been saying it for a couple of years now. So it's getting closer. 5 years. Well, let's just say 3 years. In 3 years, Idaho will be just like Oregon.
It is heading that way. That's what it looks like. And the people of Idaho, you better get a grip, and get the voters to turn out. So, hey, there we are, David. Thank you for a fabulous Friday. It is Friday the 13th. It's as a sailor, we never left port on Friday the 13th. There are taboos in the sailing world with that, and frankly, it's not a good day. I don't think it's a great day. I've had a wonderful day and a good show tonight, David. We've covered some topics and it was fun. Everybody have a great weekend. Share our message. Invite your friends to come watch and in captive audience while we're still here.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.